Nah, yeah. Not as nice, in my opinion. Spoke the growth.
Yo, how's Luka doing right now?
Oh yeah,
Man.
He got hurt.
Any news on him?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen.
He's out game one. Out game one.
Okay.
2022 NBA awards and season. We live with Jamie. We got Matt. Who else? We got Suze. All right. I think we are live. All right, cool. Cool. All right, my man. What's up, everyone? I'm gonna be the host for today. I got Matt, we got Jamie, we got Corey, talking a little NBA basketball here. Before we jump into this and anything gets out of control,
or the debate gets crazy.
The debates get crazy. Let's just, let everyone know your alliance. Matt, you're a Celtics guy.
I am, yes. Been in pain for 10 years.
And Matt may get a little biased, and I may have to call him
Gotta
out.
preface this? What you mean? That's fucked up.
May get a little bias in here, but that's that's why we love him. That's why we love him.
It's the passion. It's the passion.
But real quick, my boy is coming back, Jared Allen, against the Hawks here.
Did you make this?
Nah, this is from NBA weekend. Let me jump into that because that's the next game we got here. Honestly, unbiased. Who you guys got tomorrow? You got Hawks or Cavs?
Honestly, man, I'm gonna be real with you. I got Cleveland tomorrow. One of the biggest things that people don't notice about the Hawks is they have a 5 that they run with consistently, and those 5 play a lot of minutes.
A lot of minutes. That Clippers team, man, they don't have just a set. They don't have just a set 5 that they go to. They go everywhere, man. They bench is not bad, man. And I feel like that's what the playoffs is about. Whoever got the best bench is going to win. And every time.
Yeah, that's usually how it works.
I got a point.
I real quick. I like to say I think teams win series, but players can win games.
Yeah, players can win games. Yeah, with it being a one-off.
Tyrone, you just hit my point. So we're not talking about a series right now. We're talking about a game. When I'm talking about a game, I want the best player on the court. And when I'm talking the best player on the court, I'm talking about Trey.
Trey,
if he gets hot, that's a problem. So if you're Cleveland, I think Cleveland definitely is the better team. But the problem, not even the problem, the enjoyment of these play-in games is that it's all on the line, right? And I think Trey has proven in playoff time he can step up, and I think Cleveland's a little too young for this moment. Truthfully,
I see. That's where I disagree with a little bit, right? Because you had last year, you saw it with the Knicks when Atlanta played the Knicks. They played an inexperienced playoff Knicks team.
Yeah.
You have guys that you have a leader in Kevin Love that obviously know what it takes to get to the next level, and he's going to get the most out of those guys. And Jared Allen changes everything.
Yeah, he's coming back.
But that's indicative if he. That's potentially though. It's indicative.
Well, right now they upgraded him to he's trying to come back for tomorrow.
Yeah, so, it's encouraging.
That changes a lot for sure. Like if he's playing, that changes the whole dynamic because for me, they're really running a unit out there.
For me, watching, I feel like a lot of people don't know how nasty Darius Garland is. Whatever Trey's doing, Darius can match it. Like honestly, like we saw on display with
he can come close. Maybe in one game.
No, I'll down that hill. I think he can match it. You saw against Kyrie and KD, dude put up 34 and didn't even really have like Jared Allen there. So if Jared Allen is there, I think that changes things. And Ice Trey was 8 of 24 against Charlotte. Like Charlotte.
I'm gonna tell you.
Let me get my point because I haven't had to speak yet. I'm on the side with Corey where I think just because of the momentum that the Hawks have kind of had rolling into this, I think that there's potential that their offense is just too fast for Cleveland in order to keep up. I think in the Brooklyn series, the Brooklyn playing game, they were able to kind of score some points down the stretch. They really just were sloppy with the ball. They turned the ball over a lot. It didn't seem like when the ball wasn't in Darius Garland's hands, it didn't really seem like there was anyone else that could create their own offense. Garland was kind of like the focal point.
Yep.
And I just feel like the offense for Atlanta is more dynamic in the sense where Trey can kind of go off for, you say Garland can have 34 points in a game. Well, Trey can have 56. The kid's insane. And I know he didn't shoot well the previous night, but you got all the other supporting players around him and their own big who's a threat in the paint for defense. Mm-hmm. So I think they kind of almost mirror each other in the sense of their personnel, but I think Atlanta has more experience and is more offensively potent. And when it kind of comes down to you can get those stops, but being able to score those, it's easier for Atlanta to score in those tougher situations than Cleveland is to muster up offense. So I'm kind of leaning their direction.
I'm completely opposite. When it comes to that Atlanta team, Trey Young can will a team. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I like the kid a lot. I think he's one of the most disrespected players in the league.
I agree.
What I will tell you is, without the big Capella, that team gets swept.
Don't they have Capella?
Yeah, they have him. But what I'm saying is, if he's not playing to his best, if he's not doing what he does, that team gets swept. And you got to deal with.
Well, Okongwu, I will say, their young center, Okongwu, is really talented, both defensively and offensively.
I like him too. Yeah. But you got to remember, they have those two bigs, Jared Allen and Mobley, and they defend.
They do.
They defend.
So looking here, to Jamie's point, right? The last times that they've played, it's been weird because both teams have had injuries. But looking here, Trey went for 30, but Chetty Ogden went for 21. Darius went for 30. Trey went for 41. Trey went for 35. Kevin Love went for 35. Trey went for 24, and Ricky Rubio went for 23. And in all of those games, Jared Allen had the most rebounds, and then one game Kevin Love. I know Darius seems young, seems like the moment's too big for him, but I'm just telling you from what I've seen throughout the season, there's nothing that would make me think that he couldn't handle that moment. And I think having played that Nets game before, because the Nets are way better than the Hawks. So if you have the confidence to not, because they were down by 20 or something to the Nets, and they kept fighting. So to me, if you can fight back against a team like the Nets, who has all that firepower, I mean, to me, I would think that they could handle the Hawks.
Yeah.
But it will be a close game. There's not I don't think it's clear.
I think it's definitely a close game. I think Jamie brought up a good point. The Hawks are hot right now. I think in the last 12, they're 9-3.
Yeah.
And Cleveland in the last 12 is 3-9. So they've been a little cold here. One thing to know as a Cleveland person, though, that I saw is the Hawks are not that good away. So this is definitely an advantage.
That's true. They have
it's definitely going to help out. And Cleveland's been good at home.
I'm gonna tell you who my dark horse is, though. Carlos LeVert. If Carlos LeVert if he can do what he did, if he can do what he did last year, the playoffs, and have kind of that same streak where he score, when he can get going. Man, I don't know.
So I agree, because I think it's kind of a combination of a lot of different weird things. They've had injuries, people been in and out, and to have Jared Allen sit there, because you look at the last game, Okoro, he was defending crazy, but he had to defend Kyrie the whole time, and then go to KD the whole time. He's not gonna have that same challenge. So I think that'll allow a little bit more diversity in the offense. But let's move on. So real quick before we get into the awards and season and all that stuff, what did you guys think of Pat Bev the other day? Do you think that was too much? You think it was enough? What do you think?
I think that's what you get when when somebody paid it, and I was about to make a Facebook status about this. I didn't feel like arguing with nobody. I didn't feel like arguing with nobody.
Yeah, same.
But when somebody painted a false depiction of who you are as a person, because not only was they attacking him as a player, they was attacking him as a person. When you paint a false depiction of somebody, right? That like, I don't care how much money you have, I don't care what you own, I don't care what success you have in life, that's gonna mess with you. That's gonna like it's gonna bother you. You know what I mean? And so they painted this false depiction of him. And man, when I saw him crying, bro, I'm not gonna lie, that hit me because I was like, man,
type of competitor I am. I would have been just as salty if I had a team that just told me I wasn't good enough. Like, come on. Like, I mean, a lot of people were saying it was excessive. I kind of agree with some of the talk in sports. It was like, if that was LeBron or someone else, you're like, come on now. But like, this is Patrick Beverly and Ant-Man. And like, these guys don't really have any experience. Like, let them be happy. Let them, like, I feel like too much in society, we don't let people celebrate the moment enough.
Is the question about the Versace robe or the celebration at the end of the game? Just to clarify, because if it's the robe, it's
Patrick being Patrick.
If it's the robe, it's always too much because it's always Pat Bev. That's just how he is. But in regards to celebration, like, they set a goal for themselves and they achieved it. And I think like JJ Redick said it fantastic on his podcast. Like, they showed that they cared. And a lot of the time we make fun of NBA players saying like, once you get the contracts, you don't give a shit anymore. But like, the city cared, they cared, and like, they should be proud and they should be happy. They fought all season to get to this position. And if there wasn't a play-in, they would have been in the playoffs. They wouldn't have had to do this. But the conditions that we're in now, like, that mattered. And that was exciting.
We beat the Hawks tomorrow. That'll be me. So I mean,
Matt to me really hit it on the nail on the head. I feel like the thing that, especially in the last few years when it comes to the NBA, like the whole like rest days and things like that, and like the whole AAU aspect of like everyone's just their like boy. Like, I think going back to like things we were talking about offline with like why people are so pissed at Kyrie, right? Like for me, I know why I was mad. Like, it's just about like the going back on your word, right? Like saying one thing, doing another, right? Like, and just
I'm gonna be a Celtic forever.
Yeah, like, don't give me that and then walk out, like, and then like try to trash us. Like, I just
that was the greatest commercial ever too.
Yeah,
it was just well produced. Like, I was as a Cleveland fan, I felt hurt. It was like your girl leaves you and she just with like the supermodel, a Leo or something. You're like, how dare you? You know what I'm saying?
And then that's like the problem I had with the Celtics, like dapping them up too. Like, I know you guys are probably boys off the side, but like, dude, it's like exactly like the same example. Like, dude, he dumped you guys too. Like, he didn't want y'all, right? So like, the thing I love about Pat Bev and especially Anthony Edwards, who's absolutely filthy. He's gonna be so nice. But it's just like the passion, right? Like, that's what we care about as fans. Like, we follow you because we care about the team just as much as you, right? And I think a lot of the NBA lost that, and seeing players get back 100%. To that, man, it's nice, because that's what I was telling Tyrone the other day about the 08 Celtics. Is like the thing that I think a lot of us loved about the 08 Celtics was just like the true passion behind it, right? Like the KG always talks about bleed green and things like they're really behind that, their team and their success, just like those dudes in Minnesota were.
So Corey, like to touch on what you just said, I think that is a problem in not only in basketball, NBA. It's a problem period across the board, because this is the most lucrative time to be a professional athlete. And like it's not, you had guys back then that were still, we talk about Scottie Pippen and him only profiting 20 million or 35 million throughout his NBA career. But when every year he was playing like he had something to prove, because he wanted more money. So those guys, Michael Jordan only made 150 million in his playing.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like, those guys play like they had something to prove, because they knew, like, hey, I didn't, this. Now, think about it. Michael Jordan made 150 million throughout his NBA career. This guy's making that in 5 years.
And the thing about Pat Bev too is that, like, you'll hear people joke like, oh, he can't really play defense and blah blah. And honestly, he can't play that great defense. It's a little exaggerated, but what he is scrappy. He's diving for the loose balls.
Yeah.
He's bringing that extra punch. Like sometimes, like when I'm watching my team, like they're so nice. Like Evan Mobley, dude's a beast, but he's such a nice guy. You can tell, like, you know, real humble. Like sometimes I want him to be like give someone an elbow in the face because it just adds a little.
You see the way he injected,
energy,
the way he injected energy into the team. Like Karl-Anthony Towns, somebody that's been like made fun of for being soft, like you know, during the Jimmy Butler era, is like fucking talking smack, and you're like, you haven't like really seen that before. Anthony Edwards and just kind of even like D'Angelo Russell, like back to like the ice in his veins day, guy that we all like forgot about for a bit. So just like. We should never be mad about passion. Like obviously, if he's out there like hurting people,
they're just out there with swagger. You know what I'm saying? They're playing with some swagger. And when your team's got swagger, you start feeling real good.
Yeah, and there's and this idea that like you have to have been a part of a dynasty, winning like 4 straight rings to like actually be proud of what you're doing. It's like
I know. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And anyone who's played sports, you know, like I'm a shit talker when I play sports, and like I have played against people who I know are better than me. But just me talking shit and getting in their head, like it throws them off. And I think that's an added value. Like it may not be points, rebounds, steals, but I think it is an added value to your team.
For sure.
The only person in that situation who thought they were in someone's head and they weren't, shout out the glove because Mike was not phased. Mike was not phased.
Yeah, that was funny when he said that. Like,
that was the glove.
All right, let's jump into these awards, man, and then we'll get into some playoffs real quick. But all right, Coach of the Year. Who do you guys got for Coach of the Year? Don't even need a good like make a big spiel unless we disagree. But I got Monty. I got Monty Williams.
You know, like I'm not gonna be a homer. I think Emmy had a great run at it. Like the turnaround he made the Celtics and the moves that he made strategically and how they're gonna play was so, I think, different than what people probably would have done. But I still, at the end of the day, dude, Monty Williams has just got that team on a roll. He's gotten screwed over for Coach of the Year before. He deserves
about to say that,
so you got to give it to Monty, in my opinion.
Yeah, best record in the NBA by a long shot, and he should be a 2-time Coach of the Year winner back to back.
If I can add something, I do think that the Coach of the Year should only go to 2 people. It should go to the best record by a mile, or if you were expected to win like 10 games, 15 games, or like there's some major transition and you take that team to the next level. Like JB Bickerstaff, like if the Cavs would have stayed at the second and third, that would have been worthy. I think
the coach for the Grizzlies definitely deserves some recognition.
Oh yeah.
Right.
A lot of people didn't. I think his name's Tracy something. Let me look that up.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. That's another example. Taylor Jenkins, right?
That was a team that like all year you're like they're gonna fall off at some point. They're not gonna stay up there towards the top, and they never really lost grasp of that second season.
And to win 20 like games without Ja Morant, like 20 out of 25, is just remarkable.
Huge.
I love Steven Adams too. By the way, he's just I feel like they're always winning when you got
kind of same ideal as a Patrick Beverly injecting that into a team. But Jamie, I was going to ask you real quick. Do you think that these teams like the Grizzlies or the Cavs or the Celtics or whatever that necessarily weren't expected to win as much, you think that there's kind of this fraternity thing going on in the NBA where it's almost like college basketball? Because I know you play and stuff.
So I think right now a lot of guys feel disrespected, right? A lot of guys are taking it more personal. I think basketball and sports in general now is starting to get a little bit more personal. Like you saw like Von Miller, for example, not to distract, Von Miller was with the Broncos and he wasn't getting that exposure what he needed. So he went to the Rams to show you like, hey, I still got it. I'm still a factor. He got paid this offseason. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So now these guys, they want the dollars, they want more notoriety, they want all the fame. So they're like, okay, the only way I can get that now, because soon as Trae Young went to the playoffs, what did Adidas do? Soon as Trae Young went to the playoffs, what did Adidas do?
Yep.
His own shoe. As soon as he got to the playoffs, hey, Trae, it's time for you to get your shoe.
That's how it works.
So these guys are like, okay, in order for me to get to make myself more lucrative, I gotta be seen more, and the only way I can be seen more is to be on the playoff stage. And I feel like that's where the Grizzlies come into play. You're about to see guys that you never seen before, like CJ McCollum. You're about to see, I was the second fiddle on the Blazers, but now let me show you what I can do with my own team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think like I'm gonna take some of what you're saying there and kind of mix it up. Like the NBA is NFL is a good example because you think about the NFL. Tom Brady's been dominating, right? And Tom Brady has been there, right? He's still technically there.
He's still the guy.
He's still the guy. Like LeBron is still here too, right? They're both kind of in their heading towards their twilight years. But there's a lot of youth and a lot of young talent. I think something that we're seeing a lot more is there's a lot of talent really dispersed across the NBA. And
it's been amazing.
You're not really there's not really super teams. Like I really don't feel like there's any super teams. Like I was saying to Tyrone, like I feel like there's at least 8 teams that got a shot at it. Truthfully, the parity is out of my entire youth watching NBA. The parity is the best it's ever been. Exactly. So I think it's about the injection of a lot of youth and the young talent across the league that's allowing for this to be as competitive, and what's making a lot of these dudes fall into these situations. They're hungry, right? Like some teams are getting slept on, some guys are getting slept on, and they have more of an ability to get into these positions to showcase themselves because the league in general has parity.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so on that note, guys who got to fight for their spot, fight for their right, usually 6 men of the year. Who you guys got for 6 men of the year? Off the bat, I think now, again, this is going to sound biased, but it's just how I view the award, because I think Kevin Love coming off the bench, accepting his role is that's kind of more what I look at as a 6-man. Like I said, if the Cavs would have kept winning, I think he would have had that real fight. But the way that they usually do this vote, I'm gonna say Tyler Herro has to probably get it.
Yeah.
But what I don't like about it is that he's getting these starters minutes and he's basically a starter. But I think you have to give it to Tyler Herro kind of based on how it is.
I'd say my 6th man of the year is also Tyler Herro. We spoke about that offline the other day about like starters minutes, but actually going back, that is a precedent that has existed before. Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford.
What I was just trying to say real quick is that the way I look at the
exactly, yeah. So I'm saying, like, unfortunately, for me right now, I'm just gonna go with Tyler Herro because that's the consensus pick. For me going forward, I wish that there was I wish we kind of. The 6 man of the year is always just the 6 man who has the most points. I kind of wish we looked at like a more versatile lens and like the totality. A few years ago, Thaddeus Young was doing so much for Chicago, like on that end, both offensively and defensively, and kind of didn't really get any recognition for that. So it'd be interesting to see, like, can this conversation change or are we glued to this? But Tyler's my pick.
I like Tyler. I think Tyler was the best 6 man this year. And I feel like he made a huge improvement, man. He didn't let his like last year was kind of like what do you call it, a sophomore slump?
Yeah, it was a slump. Yeah,
sophomore slump, and he didn't let it. A lot of young guys, man, they get derailed now. Like after that sophomore slump, they really they'll go away. He didn't go away, man. He stayed the course, and I feel like, you gotta reward that man. 20 points a game off the bench.
Yeah, you have to.
He was averaging 30 at one point. He was in the high 20s.
And Jamie, I'm so glad that you mentioned that sophomore slump. I can't wait. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was really thinking I was gonna be able to make that point there. I was feeling so good, and this is why I should have went first. But dude, Jamie nailed it on the head. Like the thing I was concerned about as biased a Tyler Herro card holder is that he was gonna really drop, right? Like that's how he was catching a lot of heat from a lot of people about how he really was trash, right? So there's a lot of that pressure, and I think the way, kind of to your point, Tyrone, that it's structured, it really goes to kind of like that starter off the bench, because that's how important they are. They're coming off the bench, but they're more of, they are that 6th guy. It's like if there was 6 v 6, he'd be that 6th person, right?
Listen, if Westbrook did that, maybe he would have had a better turnout.
Oh,
you know, like
maybe you get another award.
Yeah, Tyler was playing big minutes in the fourth quarter for that team, and it was like it's a big element of the Heat's late game offense. So
exactly, it's like a whole dynamic. Like they got to whoever said it, a 20-point score off the bench. Like that's dangerous. A lot of teams do. Most teams, if not all teams, don't have that, right?
Yeah, so barely have like 20-point scores like on their starting lineup.
He's the obvious choice, but I think to what you're saying, like I would want something. I would like to see it change a little bit. I feel like it's so obvious all the time, and it's always going to the highest score. I feel like there's glue guys that can be 6 men that are vital.
All right, so the odds, I didn't say this before, but I'll do this not going forward. The odds have Tyler Herro, who's like minus 10,000. He's clearly gonna. Then Kelly Oubre is second. Kevin Love is third.
Kelly Oubre?
Mm-hmm. All right, so next up we got most improved player. Again, you already know what I'm gonna say. So go ahead.
And I'll go first then. I think I think the consensus pick for the media has been John Morant, just because the leap he's taken, kind of going from a star to like an MVP candidate. Personally, for me, I've never been a fan of that kind of leap where it's like a top 2 lottery pick is kind of expected to make these transitions. Maybe not as quick, but for me, I'm going with Darius Garland because the kid he went from being a serviceable role player last year to being one of the best point guards in the NBA this year. And like, it's not even a question just to see. Tyrone's always texting me. He's like, this guy can shoot from Steph Curry range. And I've seen it. And just for the guy to just have such a strong shooting touch, an incredible, like diverse scoring ability, and to just lead an offense the way he has just been that jump is just bigger than the one that John Morant took for me.
So I got the same pick as Matt, so I'm just going to piggyback and not add too much. I think the way I see it is the Cavs got better. The Cavs were supposed to win 22 games. They ended up winning like 40-something. Either that's because they added Evan Mobley and he's Rookie of the Year, or Darius Garland got better and he's a 6-man and he's the most improved player. Either or. I don't understand like who's getting credit for actually making that team get better. I don't know. That's what the media decide. The odds for this have John Morant minus 800, Garland plus 600, DeJounte Murray 1,800, and then Miles Bridges, Desmond, and Tyrese.
DeJounte.
What about you, Corey? Where are you sitting with this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna seem like a homer with this one, truthfully, but I'm gonna pick this person.
Go ahead.
For a lot of reasons, and it's because I think he's not also going to win the Defensive Player of the Year. I think Robert Williams.
Oh, that's a good one.
The most improved player. He went from somebody who was coming off the bench to literally getting across the league ridiculous type of respect, because this is the type of man who will switch on anybody. He was the reason the Celtics season changed, right? Like when they let Robert Williams roam free and switch freely on anybody whenever they wanted.
It was
a game changer. And for years, the Celtics problem has been rebounding, right? And defense and in the paint,
rim protection,
rim protection. And who is that glue? Who has helped really Boston, even though they've been successful still at the end of the season without him? The Boston Celtics are a championship contending team if Robert Williams is playing. And I think that is the difference between a dude that came off the bench last year to being the third star on a potentially championship team.
And that goes to what Matt was saying about like how they only value offense versus defense. I think that's a great pick, Corey. What about you, Jamie?
Man. Most improved. I gotta go Tyler Herro, man.
Tyler Herro? Okay.
I will say that what he did, and I keep going back to it, the sophomore slump. A lot of these young kids, man, it takes them a long time to bounce back. Like you see Miles Bridges. You can make an argue that Miles Bridges should be in the conversation. But Miles Bridges had a few down years, and he didn't let it get him down. He came back, and he was one of those guys that could have like disappeared. You see Malik Monk, like guys that were supposed to come to the league and make an impact, and they disappear. You know, he didn't disappear. I hope he stays on a trend that he's going, because I was telling somebody, man, he has a lot of Devin Booker quality tendencies in his game. A lot of the stuff that he has, man.
A lot of these young guys, man, they got this irrational confidence to them. Like, it's a different swagger. Like, I think we kind of grew up in the generation of men who was like, yeah. But like these guys, like, it's like I was saying about Mobley. It's like, dude will dunk you, block you, and just kind of be like, eh. It's like kind of like that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar kind of thing. I agree with the sophomore slump thing too. And just to throw on Darius before I move on, because I got to talk about my guy. I mean, his freshman rookie year was horrific. Shooting 40%.
Man, this was like the worst player in the NBA.
It was terrible.
So, but Tyrone, before you finish, I'm gonna let you continue.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put blame. I'll put blame. A little bit of blame on Colin Saxon.
Oh shit!
I agree. He was bogging. Yeah,
I believe it's monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
Oh dang.
When you see somebody like Colin Saxon shoot the way he shoots from the field and do the stuff he do without getting any kind of punishment or reprimanded. I mean, Gilbert Arenas talked about it. Gilbert Arenas talked about it. He was like, when I was coming up, when I was coming up in the NBA, when I first got to the NBA with the Warriors, I couldn't have bad shooting nights. I'll be at the end of the bench. You know what I mean? I couldn't go out there and do something crazy because I knew I would get reprimanded for it. But now in this new NBA, where these coaches are kind of yes men, it's like, you know, they let these kids go out and do whatever.
That's what's nice about Emmy for the Celtics.
That's the nail in the coffin, because when JB Bickerstaff came in, that whole shit changed up, man. It was a whole different culture, whole different. And like we said about Celtics head coach, not Ime, before
Brad Stevens.
Like we said it for years for Brad. We're like, man, he's not reprimanding these guys. There's no kind of like accountability.
He took all the heat.
He elevated it. He elevated. Like, to me, the best thing that happened to the Celtics this year that is not getting talked about enough is when Marcus Smart called them out in the media. Because after he did that, it like changed the whole thing. And people were like, "Oh, should you break them up? They can't be together." All this stuff. But then they just overcame it, you know?
Emmy's been doing the same thing though too. Emmy's been in meetings or in like press conferences being like, "Yeah, Tatum needs to play better." Like straight up. That's what they need, because Brad was always taking the heat, like, I need to coach these guys better. It's like, no, dude, they're just making stupid ass plays out there, dude.
And that's him being a college coach. You put Brad Stevens at Duke Brad Stevens at Duke right now. I love Coach K to death. Yeah, Coach K is not the same coach. He's not the same Coach K. You put Brad Stevens at Duke right now, they win the national championship. 100%.
Yeah,
probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, because in college, like, everyone's not really. They're just kind of following the program. But like in the NBA, you have people with agendas. You have people that kind of shine outside of the system. Like Jaylen. My criticism of Brad Stevens is that he didn't really know how to utilize Jaylen Brown that well. He kind of just stuck him in the corner a lot of the time. And Jaylen Brown's own greatness is what would kind of elevate him. But almost changed my pick to Robert Williams because you, Corey, but I'm going to stick with Darius Garland. I like that.
I mean, Darius will prove himself tomorrow, right? Just keep doubting him. That's all good. Keep doubting the dogs. Be the underdogs, you know? But let's just do this next one quick, so because we don't run on too much on time. But rookie of the year.
This is not a quick one to do because of how close it is.
No. Go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna go with Evan Mobley. I think he was far and ahead of all the other rookies from the jump of the year, and I don't think he should be punished for being injured at the end and because of the slow finish. But yeah, Evan's my guy.
To me, this is a weird one because like it all depends on what you believe. Because like I've seen a lot of people talk about win shares and stuff with rookies, but I'm like, a lot of times the rookies aren't on good teams anyway. So should Cade really be punished for that? Should Green be punished for that? I don't really think so. So, I mean, this is a great rookie class, though. But what about you, Jamie, Corey? Who you guys got?
Jamie, I'll let you go.
You want to go first, Corey? You want to go first?
You got it.
All right. Now, if we're talking about just overall what you did for a team, I just like it's not a coincidence that this man got drafted and this team is in the playoffs now. You know what I mean? He contributed to this team getting this far. But what I will say is, you don't go off that. If you take that out of consideration, across the board, man, you look at what Cade Cunningham did this year. Man, it's kind of tough. But you got to look at the fact that Evan Mobley actually finished like he's about to be on an all defensive team.
As a rookie. His numbers, his like friggin' his opponent's field goal percentage in the paint numbers and his block percentage is like top 5. It's crazy.
I gotta go Evan Mobley. I love Cade. If it wasn't for this Clippers team actually being relevant this year and him performing, like this Clippers team, people slept on them, bro.
Are you talking about the Pistons?
The Clippers.
The Clippers.
Not Clippers, Cleveland.
Cleveland. I was like, Clippers.
Yeah. No. I knew what you're saying. I knew what you're saying.
Okay,
I meant Cleveland.
People slept on this team, man. Like, you know what I mean? They didn't expect this team to do it.
They was only supposed to win 20 games, 23 games or something. So it's like, and I think like to your point too, it's like you shouldn't really give it to someone based on wins because they're rookies and it's not so much about that. But we do it across MVP. We do it across defensive play. So
we do.
Honestly, even if Cade didn't necessarily bring them to the playoffs, I think if we saw kind of something, like I almost think we would give it to Scotty or Jalen Green if they had like got it to like the 7th or 8th or just missed play in.
I wasn't a big Jalen Green fan.
I don't think
that was just an example. No, that was just an example. Jalen definitely there. No, Jalen is not. No, it's to me. It's really Scotty or Mobley's to lose.
Yeah, Scotty, Cade, Mobley, but
so that was gonna be my pick was Scotty because I think I like the thing about Cleveland to me is like they did better, but like I really look at Cleveland's team and I think they actually have like a really well put together team at the end of the day. I think something that happened to Toronto that I think Scotty fills the gap is like when they lost Kawhi, it kind of like sent the world into like, okay, Toronto is irrelevant now, right? And I think Scotty coming in there gives them another third guy behind Pascal and Fred that gives them enough stability to continue on in building, and they finished in a decent spot in a tough division.
They finished the season like
my
crazy wins.
My pushback on that is that they were in the playoffs, and they lost him. But then that next year we never saw that because they had all the restrictions with the COVID and Canada and injuries. So
they weren't allowed to play in
like
Toronto,
Fred VanVleet. I think Fred VanVleet could have got into the play-in. I do, but that's just me personally.
I feel you, but I think Scotty's stats with it. Obviously for me, like Mobley is not that far off. Like it's between them two.
Yeah,
I have no dog in the race. I think at the end of the day, though, it's going to be I think they a lot of times account for seeding at the end of the day.
Yeah,
they definitely.
It's a problem, and that's kind of why I'm leaning on Scotty winning because at the end of the day, I really like Cleveland's team better than Toronto too.
Yeah.
So I put more weight behind Scotty's importance because I think Cleveland has pieces in place to still do decent.
The only pushback I'd probably give there, the only like a pro Evan Mobley thing I'd say was like they had the structure, but he was such an all-star within his role that he really elevated them. Whereas like next to Scotty Barnes, we're gonna probably see. I'd vote for him, but Pascal Siakam's gonna be like an all-NBA player at the end, just because how fucking nuts he's been. And shout out to him for like kind of garnering respect again. And to close the statement, even though Cade Cunningham doesn't win, probably won't win, I think he solidified that he was worthy of the first pick. I think he's really kind of
and homeboy in the Magic I like too.
He doesn't get a lot of respect.
Wagner's lit.
Yeah, man. Oh my God.
Such a good class.
All right, so Jamie, this is really for me and you. Defensive player of the year. We know Corey and Matt. You guys both got smart, right?
Yeah,
it's got to be smart.
I gotta tell you why, though. I gotta. Hold
on. And then Jamie,
you guys go ahead.
Jamie, who do you got?
If we're talking about defensive player of the year, and if they don't punish guys for, like sitting out for periods of time. If
Yep.
If Draymond Green didn't get hurt, he had it. There was no.
If he didn't get hurt, if he didn't get hurt, it was not even a race. Like what Draymond Green was doing this year was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was getting back to like his prime,
especially with their personnel. They're like on paper.
I'm not going to disagree with
great
that.
defensively.
Yeah,
I'm not going to disagree with that.
But
who I will put out, the race that people like love picking him is Rudy Gobert. In my opinion, he's not a great defender. That's my opinion. And I feel like if you're a great defender, nobody scores 55 on you. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for real, bro. I mean, I get you.
You know what I mean? So with that being said, I'm gonna have to go with Markel, like, and what he did this year.
Are you talking about Mikal Bridges?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So for me, I think I'm torn between Smart and Mikal, but because I think I keep hearing so many people say CP3 and Book, and those guys do defend. But on the same side with the Celtics, you have Tatum, you had Rob. Rob could have been a defensive player of the year type of candidate.
I think Tatum should make it. I think Tatum should make it.
Yeah. To me, it's between Smart and him. I think I would lean towards giving Smart just because I know in the past he's gotten slighted. But
I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I'll tell you why Smart deserves it, honestly. And I'm mad I can't think of the account's name right now, but I follow an account that literally tweets Marcus Smart's defensive stats every night, every possession that he has on every player, and how many points he actually gives up. And this man, when I say he locks down everybody, he locks down everybody. Like, I don't think for a couple of weeks I've seen anybody put up more than 4 points on him, right? Like the field goal percentages he's given up, the going back to the beginning of what we were talking about with Pat Bev, like he is who Pat Bev thinks he is.
Yeah, that's good.
He's out there going out, diving for every play, doing all that dirty stuff that Pat Bev does, talks that talk, gets in people's faces, right? But he actually locks down on defense.
Yeah. I'd say for me, the biggest thing with him is that when Marcus Smart came back from injury, that's when the Celtics started going on this crazy streak. They've had like a high-ranked defense all season. Like they finished number one. But during that streak, he's known as like the defensive leader, the signal caller. He's kind of the quarterback, telling everybody where they need to be, what they're doing, calling out things, using his skill as a guard to both switch on everybody. He's one of the few people that can guard 1 through 5 as a guard. Like it's crazy. His strength is just immense. But his ability to not only just lock down people in front of him, but then also push people into guys like Rob, push people into guys like Al Horford.
Guys, it's supposed to be quick, Smart.
No, it's not quick. It's not quick.
Jesus,
I gotta be smart here. This is his moment in the sun. But like the fact that they had they went on a streak and had one of the greatest win differentials like in fucking NBA history, like defensive numbers that were almost like that almost mimicked the 04 Pistons is like insane, should be factored in. They finished with the best defensive net rating, the best defense in the league. And Gary Payton himself said he should be the first guard to win Defensive Player of the Year since him. That's enough for me.
Jeez,
that's all I need.
Marcus Smart, Defensive Player of the Year.
For the record, we are Celtics fans. For the record,
I
did say that.
It definitely helps.
But no, I'm teasing. I think you should get it, but or Mikal Bridges, but we'll see.
Yeah, it'd be nice to not have a big man win for once. So yeah.
All right, MVP. Now this is controversial. Some people think
it should be fun. It should be fun.
I think honestly, I got Joel Embiid. And I can get into it after, but that's why I got Joel Embiid. What about you, Corey?
MVP. Yeah. This is tough.
We can jump into it after, but I just want to know quick who you got.
Honestly, I think Jokic might win it, but I'm gonna give Embiid some respect here. I've given him a lot of hate in the past. Like a lot of the stuff going on this year with that team with Ben Simmons and still getting like Harden, and Harden, in my opinion, is still a headache in and of itself. Just like they've been kind of going through a lot of stuff, and they've been just still floating right around that 3-4 spot all year. They stood steady, and I think they stood steady because of Embiid. So I give a lot of respect because his game is dangerous at the end of the day. He is a very, very unbelievable player, but he's the reason, in my opinion, Philly had the stability all year. And without him, I think they truly do crumble.
Yeah. What about you, Jamie? What's your pick?
And this is not me being biased.
Oh, I know who it is.
Yeah, Tyrone know who it is too. I gotta go with Devin Booker, man.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Luka. I thought you were gonna say Luka.
I was thinking this, Jamie.
D-book,
I've been saying that all season. Everyone, but it's just it's like
it's tough.
I feel like
they don't want to give it to him. They don't want to give it to him.
I feel like it's a marketing thing.
It is.
You know what? And I feel like it's a marketing thing, and I feel like that they go off what sells, right? And right now, in my opinion, you know, you giving it to Joker or Embiid, both international players, or you give it to the Greek Freak, international player. I just feel like it's really crazy to me that you can be the number one team in the NBA and be a guard.
Back in the day, this would have never happened. This would have never. This would have been an easy MVP for Booker. You bring up a valid point.
So this is my thing, right? And it's so frustrating when you look at this, right? Because when you see Book and who's in Book class, the Jason Tatums, the Lukas, the John Morants, like the people who are in, any of those guys finish with a number one record in the league.
Yeah,
like those guys are instantly MVPs.
Except maybe Tatum. Except maybe I feel like the media doesn't really.
Tatum.
I feel like they don't really like Tatum. I feel like they don't really like Tatum.
No, I feel like it'll be the same thing. If Tatum and Booker are in the same boat. They're in the same boat. So like when you see that and you like I gotta like I don't know. That's why I really love that Isaiah Thomas had came out and was like, hey, like Devin Booker, like the Pistons Isaiah Thomas came out and was like, hey, I really think Devin Booker is the MVP. And you saw Devin Booker reply back to him and was like, it's a certain different criteria now.
It is. It is. Yeah. And Jamie, and like Matt, I'll let you say your point real quick, but because this was kind of getting on my nerves a little bit the past couple of weeks, is they started to throw Giannis into it, and I'm like, how can you give that to Giannis, but all these years not give it to LeBron? Because it's kind of the same exact thing. I think it's kind of the same thing, and I see a lot of similarities as well. And I told Matt this the other day. I was like, Tatum should be in the conversation, and any other normal player probably would, to have that turnaround. And if LeBron did that this year, I know that he would have been in the same conversation. Yeah. And I feel like you're right, Jamie, that there is a marketing thing where it's like Tatum, Booker. For whatever reason, they like Ja. I don't know why. Maybe because he's dancing and TikTok or something. I don't know. Like Memphis, maybe because they want Memphis going, you know. But I mean, Ja is a beast. But like, it just feels like Booker and Tatum don't get a lot of love. I think if you're going stats, Joker, easy pick. If you're talking about adversity MVP, which I kind of lean towards, because some of those years LeBron was winning, I was like, his team was trash. People think it wasn't trash because he was doing that. And I think with Joel Embiid, like you mentioned, Corey, all those things about, Ben Simmons not being there, he still had them competing. You had Harden come over, and Harden's basically trash now. They're still competing. They lost a lot of their bench. They still got that fight. So I think I'm going to lean towards Joel. And if Joel doesn't get it this year, I don't think he's ever going to get it because I don't, because he's another one. I kind of feel like they don't really love him for some reason. But
he would have got. Yeah, this is different. He would have gotten it last year, but he tore his knee. He fucked up his knee at the end of the year.
I was gonna say one of the tough things for Booker too is I think they've put a lot of weight behind a big man who can really put up scoring numbers too, right? Like you got this guy who's banging down low, who's got the rebounds. Like, in the thing about Embiid and especially Joker, without a doubt, is like their assists. Like Joker especially, he's like a point guard the way he dimes out there, right? So not only is he putting up numbers scoring wise, but he's getting his rebounds and he's passing. I think it just makes it very difficult when you see a big man doing things like that. And then give it to a guard where you're seeing, obviously there's not a lot of people doing what Devin Booker's doing. And his team is having a different type of success, but I think they overinflate, and I'm not agreeing with it. I think they overinflate a big man who can score.
That's a good point. Yeah,
I see that. Old school people too talking. Matt, I'm gonna let you in here. But a lot of these old school people too, they're overvaluing Chris Paul. I think like Chris Paul is phenomenal and like he's had a great year, but it's clearly Booker's team.
Is Booker? Yeah. I say before I say my pick, I want to talk with this Booker stuff because I want to give him some love too. Because I've come around since the last year we did this chat, Jamie. Booker showed out in the finals. Mad respect to him. He's amazing. A lot of people are saying in any other circumstance, a team that won over 60 games, their lead player scoring 27, 5, and 5. This would be the first year in NBA history that player does not win MVP, which would fucking suck. That would be a major shame. My thing with Devin Booker is that he's being punished for fitting the role he needs to be for a well-oiled team. Where I think now with the MVP, we kind of over-romanticize and glorify these like heliocentric type styles of teams where it all revolves around one player that does everything and they have to do everything. And some of it's circumstantial. But I think a guy like Devin Booker, like 65 wins, like, and they won some games without him, but they won a lot of games without Chris Paul, and a lot of people didn't think they were gonna do well. To do this after narrative-wise, we want to go into narrative, like everybody always says. They could have. How many people said that their window was closed after blowing a 2-0 lead in the finals last year? And
it's crazy because they didn't, and that's crazy because they didn't blow the lead.
But they didn't blow. Giannis.
And it's like. But that's the narrative.
What I'm trying to say is that it would have been so easy for any other team to just kind of fall off a cliff, or Phoenix is to be like a middle ground, like 4th or 5th seed or whatever. But for them to come out and like behind Devin Booker to come out, and they were one of the clutchest teams in basketball. He's one of the clutchest players in terms of the crunching numbers. So I think he deserves a lot of respect. He's sadly not going to get it because he didn't have those dominant performances that we're used to seeing. But much love to Booker. He deserves to be in that upper echelon of conversation going forward. I think
I agree, and I feel like once you get to the finals, and I don't know what it is about the NBA. I just feel like back in the day, back when. Like when we all was following the level of basketball, we was watching the Celtics Lakers back in 2010, 2009. We was following the level of basketball. Allen Iverson, he was 76ers winning MVPs and shit. You fell in love with the fact that when they went to when a superstar went to a finals, that changes everything about who they are.
About them, yeah.
Now when they go to the finals, they're in a different bracket, right?
This dude Booker dropped 50 points in a final series, and he's still not viewed as a superstar. He's gonna get first team All NBA this year, deservedly so, but he's still not viewed as like a Luka or like a Giannis or something, which is insane to me. Yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but for me, I still haven't mentioned my pick. I will just quickly talk about that. My pick is actually Nikola Jokic, mainly because of how dominant he's been. First play in NBA history, 2,000, 1,500. We've heard it all. The dominant performances he's had against some of the best other players. And in regards to adversity, I was actually really hesitant on Jokic at first because of their seeding. And I was like worried, Russell Westbrook thing. I don't want to give a 6th seed player the MVP again. But actually looking at the standings, he only has 3 less wins than Giannis, than the Bucks and the 76ers. So I think that context changes it a little bit more. with losing, having another year without Jamal Murray and then losing Michael Porter Jr. at the start of the season, Jokic is honestly playing with a glorified G League team, honestly. Like, much respect to Bones Highland, who's been fantastic, and Aaron Gordon, and the guys have stepped up a lot, but he is the entirety of the team. Like, to have a 50-point triple-double, to have these crazy games where he is basically kind of putting the entire franchise on his back, and then bringing them to the playoffs and only being 3 wins shy of these other candidates I think is just something we've never seen before, which is
unheard of.
It's unheard of. It's crazy. And to do that, and to be a point guard center like that is fucking nuts. So
when I think about like MVP, most valuable player, I think about, like, again, going back to what the standard is, LeBron, like, when he wasn't on those teams, they stunk. Like, you take LeBron off the Lakers this year, they maybe lose 2 more games, 3 more games. Like, they were just a terrible team. So he doesn't have a ton of value this year. Without Joker, that team is probably in the lottery, honestly. And then without Joel, I probably would say the same thing. Booker, I think you take him off, they probably still make the playoffs because of Chris Paul and all that. And I think so. I think at the end of the day, when the voters are doing it how they do now, that's how it is. But you're right. He shouldn't be punished because he's in a well-oiled machine. Because again, it's like I was saying about the Cleveland thing. It's like, is it Evan Mobley or is it Darius Garland or is it that Jared Allen?
The same thing a lot of people would say about Giannis is with Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday.
It's like why Tom Brady didn't win this year. So like because their team was too nice.
But those guys, should those guys be, having not be able to win an All-Star or MVP or that? Like, I don't think that's right. Like, are we gonna only value guys who don't play with like any talent?
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And also, the league is so good now that it's almost standard to have 3 guys on every team.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait till next year when somebody tries to say Luka can't win because Jalen Brunson's too good. It's like, no, that's just stupid. Like,
it doesn't work that way. But all right, so NBA Finals, who we got here?
Shit,
Jamie. If you remember last year, we were talking about this. We were like, yo, man, the Suns are nice. And Matt was like, I think they're too young. I think that was like,
fuck.
He was like, it's funny. At the start of this season, he was like, oh, they started losing. Matt goes,
they were like,
his team.
Yeah, they were like, they started off really bad, and I was like, yo. I was at the grocery store. I remember where I was. I was in Market Basket. I was like, bro, the Suns are kind of trash this year. And then they went on like a fucking 20-game win streak right after I said that.
I told him, I was like, so now I think he's a believer. And I still think, honestly, is like we're overcomplicating this. For me, I think we're going to probably see the Suns and the Celtics in the finals.
Shit.
And I think that matchup is a coin toss, but I would have to give it more towards the Suns just because of the experience. But the reason I have Giannis and them not making it over the Celtics, I just think Giannis is gonna get kind of in that LeBron trap thing where he's gonna take over so much with those other two. I don't know, but you got the two defensive player of the years on the Celtics. You got Tatum, who's just been a beast. You got Jalen, who's not selfish. He's not asking for the ball. He's not screaming for the ball. And then you got that kid, Peyton Pritchard or whatever. He's hitting some shots. Like, I just think I'd be surprised if it wasn't Suns and Celtics. What about you guys?
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah,
the winner of that Brooklyn series is who's gonna win. Who's gonna go to the championship?
That's crazy.
The winner of that, and I'm gonna tell you why.
I've heard that a lot.
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. And this is what I keep trying to tell people.
Mm-hmm.
When that motherfucker Ben Simmons comes back, that changes everything.
Changes nothing.
That
changes nothing.
No, people see this is where we had a divide because I agree with you, Jimmy. Like, I think people slip. Ben Simmons was not a bad player.
It's not about him being a bad player. It's the fact that he has not played a single basketball game.
That changes
this season.
But see, here's the thing. He hasn't played a single basketball game this season. That is true. So I think that ultimately he's an athlete. He's definitely been staying in shape. And they're not going to bring him back if he's not ready. It's the NBA.
Let me tell you.
So
hold us down.
So can we just, I want to point out something.
Mm-hmm.
his last full season playing, he was an All NBA team member.
Yeah.
He was a 17, 8-8 guy. You bring a 17, 8-8 guy to a team with a healthy Kyrie Irving and a healthy Kevin Durant, that changes a lot of freaking things.
But contextually, I'd say the 17, 8-8 is applicable to the offense that the 76ers was running, knowing his role within it. He doesn't have a role within Brooklyn.
But
Steve Nash hasn't had time to.
He does have a role.
No, he does. He has a metaphorical, a theoretical role. They haven't developed what that role is yet. You can't just come in and inject somebody and just be like, "Oh, perfect, it's working out." Yeah, you go for it.
We just said that, right? Who was playing a shooting guard when James Harden was playing? Who played shooting guard? Who was a shooting guard?
Oh, you're talking about Kyrie Irving? Yeah. But I'm saying they had
Kyrie Irving just showed the world this season that
right.
He can play off the ball and keep his mouth closed and not bitch about it.
So let me agree to disagree.
Hold on. Let me finish. He just showed y'all that, right? Now, one of the things that Brooklyn is not suck at right now is rebounding. You bring a 6'10" guy that averaged almost 10 rebounds his last year in the league.
Yeah,
that changes everything, man.
I think they're non-believers because it's just been so long. I think
so. I haven't given my opinion yet. So I agree and disagree with some statements here. Now, is Ben Simmons trash? I don't think Ben Simmons is trash. Like, I think Jane brings up a lot of points. He can do really, I think, everything besides one thing, and we all know what that one thing is that he can't do. He can't shoot for his life, in my opinion. And I think there's one team that has shown in the past and also has the ability to absolutely get into that man's head, but also completely stop his ability. And that's the Boston Celtics. Yeah. And I think I agree with you that Brooklyn is probably the biggest problem other than the Celtics in the East if Ben Simmons is there. But the key for me is Robert Williams. Like I go back to earlier in the video. Yeah. If Robert Williams is playing, the Celtics are going to steamroll every single team. I think they're beating every team in 5 or 6 games and it's over if Robert Williams is playing.
So, but you don't think him trying to get back into the offense after not being out for a while and everyone else having played 3 or 4 games in the playoffs at that point, why?
No,
like you don't think they
have the continuity.
Yeah, they have the continuity, and I think Robert Williams hopping back in is very seamless. Where I agree with Matt saying like Ben Simmons is definitely a great player, but like it's the same thing that happened with Miami with Bosh, Wade, and LeBron. Like they're all nasty, but it took a little time for them to sort it out, right?
Like, hold on, though. This is the difference between Ben Simmons and Chris Bosh, though. This is the difference. Chris Bosh was still trying to get his.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
While Ben Simmons don't give 2 Fs. If he scored 5, if he scored 20.
Yeah, but this is the difference.
And Kyrie likes to score.
This is the real difference.
Kyrie likes to score.
This is the real difference, though. Miami was better than everybody.
Yeah.
Boston's better than everybody.
Oh, not really, because Miami, I guess it depends on the year you're talking about. Some of those Miami benches were suspect, but
Tyrone is going to rewrite history when it comes to that Miami.
But at that time,
those Miami benches were trash. LeBron James made them look a lot better than they do. You know, that's a quote from Larry Legend.
Mike Miller,
Larry
James
Bird.
Johnson, Shane Battier,
we
Birdman.
Shane Battier on his way out the door. Yeah.
Shane Battier hit 6 threes against the Spurs in a playoff game. Yeah.
Because of who?
Because of his jump shooting stroke.
Let's bring it back to 2022 here. So I'm gonna wrap up. I'm gonna wrap up my point. I think Jamie is very valid about whoever wins the series. I think is leaving the East. I personally think it's gonna be the Celtics. I think especially when the Celtics get Robert Williams back, they're a very big problem for all the teams in the league. But I'm gonna come with the sleeper coming out the West. No offense to the Suns, because I think they are a really, really good team.
Don't say the Grizzlies.
I'm gonna say the Golden State Warriors are about to come out the West off the backs.
Who did you just say?
Steph Curry
Golden State.
and Klay Thompson. They're gonna come on a Cinderella run, and it's gonna be the Celtics versus the Warriors, and the Celtics are taking it in 5 games against the Warriors.
That's what you want. That's what you want.
It's just what it was. Yeah,
that's what's happening.
My final point on the Ben Simmons thing is that
no.
Let me just say, everyone's forgetting he's coming back from a back injury, and that is he's come back from a back injury.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is he?
Oh, okay.
Is he coming back from a back injury, or is he coming back in better shape?
No, back stiffness. They were talking about he needs surgery, but anyway, it's no matter.
James Harden needed surgery before he came to Philly.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
But he was wearing fat suits. Like it's a whole different story with him. But
let me ask you guys something real quick, because I gotta hold you Celtics fans to something. When the Celtics, or if they don't make it, why is it? Well, what's going to be the reason this year? Why do you think? Why do you think?
If they don't make it, it's because Tatum and Brown did not step up to the challenge. And they failed the mission.
So you think that Tatum, the only way it doesn't work is if Tatum and Brown just they aren't efficient? Or...
So the thing with this Brooklyn Nets series is that they have the tools, they have all the personnel, all the tools they need to beat Brooklyn. They have the defense, they have the offensive versatility, they have 2-star players that can score the ball. They have a bench that's proven to be deep. They lose if they just don't perform well. If they get caught in their own heads, if they go get into a shooting match and they try and one up with Kyrie.
But you're saying if they don't perform well, but I'm curious, because in the past there's been rebounds. We need a rebounder. Is it I'm curious more about what is their weakness that you think? Is it just mental?
Their bench.
Yes.
Jamie.
Their bench isn't terrible. The bench isn't terrible.
No. Jamie said it, and it's not. And I don't.
Bench is not terrible. It's proven to be better.
Let me articulate on why. This is why I think it's the bench. It's not the bench. It's not the bench because I think they suck. I think they're actually very talented. I think they're just still very young and unproven when it comes to what they've done in the playoffs, right? Payne Pritchard hasn't done anything in the playoffs, right? Grant Williams hasn't done anything in the playoffs, right? I think they've been playing really well. Tice is a solid piece. I'm not really worried about what Tice is going to be Tice. You know what I'm saying?
Derek White.
But the thing that's made the Celtics bench so good is the ability of these young players to play really well. PP behind the 3-point line, the way he plays defense now off the bench. Grant Williams, the way he hits threes, I'm pretty sure he has one of the highest 3-point.
Yeah, he's 45%.
So if the Celtics struggle, I really don't think it's having anything to do with their starters. We can make the excuses on if Robert Williams plays or doesn't play. I think he's coming back, so that's not a problem to me. It's if those players on the bench can't live up to the moment and play the way they've been playing this year. They have to stay consistent.
But that's the thing. When you go ahead, Jamie. Yeah.
And this is the thing that scares me about Boston. And don't get me wrong, I want Boston to get to the finals. The problem that I have is the fact that you have an experienced Patty Mills coming off the bench. You have an experienced Seth Curry coming off the bench. You got an experienced Andre Drummond. You got all these guys coming off the bench that know their role, and it's established that they know their role.
Yeah, they can't play defense though, so I'm not too worried about that.
No. Kevin Durant can.
No, I'm talking about the bench people. I'm talking about the people he named.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. We already know it's gonna be a chess match. Some days, some guys are gonna show up. Some what's his name's been pretty good. Drummond's been pretty good the past 6 or 7 games.
Been a lot better.
Seth's gonna get his. Seth's gonna get his. I think.
Yeah,
Seth potentially. He just came back from an ankle injury and he was dog shit against Cleveland. So we'll have to see.
Me personally, and this is a debate I had with Matt last week. I think Kevin Durant is still the best player in the entire world. I think Giannis has definitely probably had one of the best seasons. He's probably most valuable to his team. But I think Kevin Durant is still the best player in the world. And I think if you got the best player in the world versus some guys who are still trying to prove themselves, I think that's maybe where and Kyrie,
a lot of people that's where a lot of people kind of get hung up on is Kevin Durant's the best player in this series and Kyrie Irving. I think Jason Tatum is better than Kyrie Irving, just in his totality. But Kyrie Irving is special. Say what you want about him, he is fucking special.
And you know what's one thing, Matt, too, is I want the Celtics. I think it'll be the Celtics, but I think one of the things we said all year is Brooklyn. They don't have any defense. Brooklyn, they don't have any defense. But it's in the playoffs, sometimes you just gotta score. Like,
but what I'm saying is that it's easier to score against. It's easier to score against a team that can't fucking stay in front of you.
Yeah,
can we point out?
Philosophy is.
Can I point out something? If you have a healthy Kyrie Irving on that Nets team last year, forget James Harden. Let's say James Harden plays terrible. You have a healthy Kyrie Irving. You beat that Bucks team and you go to the finals.
So that's kind of where.
And did that team make any changes? Really? They actually got better.
No, they lost some pieces in regards to like Joe Harris was huge for them last year, and he's hasn't
you
played
replaced
at all.
him. Yeah, but you replaced him with Seth Curry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Seth is also hurt, so we're gonna. That's the thing.
Don't contradict ourselves after 2 minutes, guys. We just talked about how Seth. You guys just talked about how Seth is hurt.
Yeah, he's had. I mean, go ahead, Corey. Get your point in.
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
No, all I was just gonna say is I think that the thing that's frustrated me about Tatum's entire career, and Matt has always been like, he's young, is I've always been like, you need to prove it, bro. Like you like, I understand you can score and do all this stuff. I need you to just bust everyone's ass in the playoffs and show them I'm better than you. Not that I belong. I'm better than you. Because when John Morant goes out there, when Luka goes out there, those guys, that's kind of why I think they get a little bit more respect. Is because like they have this irrational thing where they think they're actually better than these other guys. And that's what I need to see from Tatum. And Corey, we talked about this where you're like, you think it's the AAU thing and all that. I think if Tatum brings it this year,
I think this is the year to do it.
Then I think it, no question the Celtics win.
The trajectory
hold on.
I gotta go.
All good, my man. We're about to end this anyway. So, hey, Jamie, thanks for coming on, my brother.
Jamie, nice seeing you, dog.
No problem, man.
Thanks for coming, man. Take care.
The thing about Tatum though, and Brown to finish it up is they need to step up, but I think this is their time where like I don't think youth is a factor, right? Like you've been scorched earth, right? You clearly got it figured out, right? Like there's not a problem between you two. You've been dogging dudes all year. You have dudes like Kevin Durant in public giving you respect, like, yo, we can't stop this kid. So this is the playoffs where I think he's going to do it, but to your point, he has to do it. Yeah,
right? That's my whole thing. In the previous years, like last year, they weren't healthy. They didn't have Jaylen Brown. They were pretty shit. Yeah. They weren't going to win anyway. The year in Miami, like losing to Miami, that sucked. That was really frustrating. But Gordon Hayward broke his ankle like the first game of the playoffs. And then Kemba Walker had his like knee issues. So like that factors in, even though they were up a bunch in those things. But this is the first time where they're, the Rob thing, but he's available. He'll be able to come back potentially later in the series. But this is the first time like they essentially have everything they need. And they've been performing as amazing as they possibly can. So it's like, there's no reason that's why I said like, if they fall short, it's because Tatum and Brown didn't step up to the challenge.
Yeah,
because
and I think
even if the bench doesn't do well, like the bench, like we're not even like really ever going to
Tatum and Brown could put up 70 themselves if they step up. You know?
Exactly. Right. And like we've seen them do that. And like those two also play with the bench sometimes, like a lot of the time. So just to close this whole thing up, I think, you guys are both 100% right. I think but the thing that makes me wonder in the back of my head is this is the first time I can think we can say that Tatum, if he doesn't do it, we're going to say, Tatum, you failed. And every superstar fails. It's totally normal. It's something you got to go through. But this will be the first time he probably looks at it like, damn, we failed. Where like in the past, they kind of overachieved. They were in that spot. But this will be the first time where it's like, damn. We've been talking about him being a superstar, potentially being a superstar for years. And like,
he is.
If he beats I still don't think he is. I think he's fringe. I think he's so close. But
he's right there.
If he bests Kevin Durant in a best of 7 series, he will undoubtedly be in that conversation.
You're right. If the
and what do you mean by best? Like just win
if he wins the series and like performs really well, and if he has those games where he just goes at Kevin Durant, like kind of like it doesn't have to be a 50-point game, but like kind of what we saw. I mean, he kind of did that last season too against the Brooklyn Nets, but just kind of going to be toe-to-toe with the best player in the world and best him, like undoubtedly top 10.
I think there's a statement to be said if the Celtics roll the Nets and Tatum is clearly the best player and they're rolling to the finals and they win the finals. I think there's something to be said that he might be the best player in the NBA if he's the leading force behind that. But that's a big statement, you know.
That's a huge.
That's a huge statement.
To give you a little credit,
to your point, though, he's right there on the fringe, and the Celtics have everything they need. So this is that moment where you can step up to the plate and go capture it. You know what I'm saying?
What I'll say is this, Corey.
The opportunity
that seems like a crazy statement that you just made, but it's not actually inaccurate. I think if he does, and he's like, let's say he has a 40-point per game like series, and he's busting everyone's
high
ass.
30s, yeah.
That's kind of the same thing that happened to Giannis, honestly, because like for a long time, and then because next year Tatum will be able to maintain.
All it takes is one opportunity, my guy.
That's all it takes.
The door's there. It's really there. Like being matched up against Brooklyn, everybody is talking about how this is the worst matchup you could have ever gotten, right? Like Celtics been scorched earth, and of course they don't get a break in the first round. Like you go out there, punch Brooklyn in the mouth, and run through the East and go to a finals.
Yep.
The door is there, right? Is the challenge very difficult? Is it a long shot to do that? Absolutely, right? Like it might just be on the team, even if they get to the finals.
But to be the best, you gotta beat the best.
Exactly.
And all I'm saying is the door's open, and if he wants to go step up to the plate, don't be afraid of saying he's the best player in the NBA.
Yeah, for me, it's like it's hurt seeing how much I respect Luka, but like every time Tatum's name comes up, somebody has to bring up Luka and like knock him down a peg. If Tatum were to lead the Celtics to a championship this year, he puts his name in the same conversation as Luka. Luka's obviously got like all-time GOAT status, overall talent, skill, but like
I would say he probably leaps Luka.
I don't think people will ever give that to him because Luka's the kind of guy to drop 50 in a series consistently.
Luka's my guy, and I would have to give
Luka's marketable. He's the international player. I don't care if you want to pose him as the best player. If what I said happens, Tatum is the best player in the NBA.
That time, currently, because he is the reigning finals MVP. So
exactly. That's all I'm saying.
But all right, guys, thank you for watching. Subscribe. We make little basketball sports videos every once in a while. Tune in.
We'll have to catch you. We'll have to make some more during the playoffs and something.
Check out what's next.
If you're a Marvel fan, check out what's next. Plugged it in.
Yeah. We gotta get Matt in an episode or something.
We do.